Okay, so I haven't updated anything on my YouTube channel for quite a while. I was hoping to do a vlog regarding studying Korean in conjunction with Rosetta Stone, or if I wasn't using Rosetta Stone, at least just to keep a vlog about studying Korean. I know I was also taking a Korean class earlier this year, starting in January, and anyway, yeah, Rosetta Stone was kind of um, kind of uh, the the hook of why I was making the video. I wanted to do Rosetta Stone and then track and see how well Rosetta Stone did. But ultimately, I guess testing Rosetta Stone isn't the goal so much as learning Korean as best I could. And yeah, I decided to take the class, and then I branched out to other resources. So Rosetta Stone was definitely one of the resources I used, but not, I wouldn't say even the main one. Probably anyway. Yeah, so I studied Korean and I finished the course. However, I was very happy, although I was very happy with the first teacher I had. Um, she was only a temporary substitute until the original teacher came back. She was pregnant and she was on maternity leave, and then she came back. The original teacher that was substituting spoke so much Korean in the class, and although she was she's older, maybe a little bit older than me. Now I wouldn't say like a super old, but older. She was so much energy and tons of energy. Somehow, I don't know how. I know I tried teaching English, and maybe I guess she had an outgoing personality, maybe. Um, Tons of energy, and I know everyone wants that in a teacher, but there's lots of things that can make a good teacher. I know one of them is energy, but that's just one of several things. Yeah, she is highly energetic, spoke tons of Korean, and kind of treated us in a way in such that she expected us to learn Korean. And having your teacher kind of expect you to do Korean and have higher expectations of you is really important. The teacher that came back, she's very nice. She's very pretty, younger, very pretty, and yeah, young mother, um, and uh, very, I mean, highly intelligent as far as like knowing Korean, and her English is good too, so she could explain things very well. But she, although she would speak Korean sometimes, it's like she could see that she could tell that the students that just, or at least I don't know, like when she didn't address me, there's probably a few exceptions um, of students who are kind of following what she says well enough that speaking Korean was like, yeah, we get it. um, but she could just see all the faces that were just like, oh God, Korean, I don't know what is what, just tuning her out basically, I think, and or just confused. They're like, oh God. And so switched to English just way too much throughout the teaching process, and that um, kind of ruined the class for me. And I stopped going, and I almost dropped the class. Honestly, I finished the class earlier this year. I haven't even gone in to look at my grade because I literally stopped going to class, and then kept thinking, oh, I'm going to drop. Then I didn't drop, and then I was just like, oh, I don't want to do. I still don't want to go. It's like I'm not really a student, so the grade doesn't really matter because I'm just doing this for my own personal benefit. And it's a lot of work. The homework was this whole workbook. I mean, you have this publisher make this huge workbook, and if you've taken classes, you know that if they assign all the work in the book and not just like the exercises they think are helpful, it gets to be just incredibly a lot. And we didn't have to do it just once, but twice. The first time you go in and do it on your own, and you pass it in. She passes it back. Then you go in and correct yourself using this answer key and correct all your mistakes. So you do it twice, and yeah, it was so bad. And I feel like what makes it so bad for me is that as I'm doing those exercises, I was using Google Translate because I can't. A lot of it was writing in Korean, and it's like I'm a beginner. I can't think in Korean, barely. I'm like around the greetings and very simple. Like this tastes good. That I'm hungry. That's fun. This my name is. My hobby is this. And that's hard. That's hard for me. And then these exercises, you're just doing all kinds of writing a couple paragraphs sometimes, and just crazy. So you're just using Google Translate, and then Google Translate obviously is not really correct. So I would go in and then get the Google Translate, then change it around, play with it, and make it more in line with my level of Korean and what the book wants. And that was very, even with the Google Translate and doing it that way, it was just hard as hell. And I don't see how beneficial that is. So I wasn't happy with the course. I did manage to finish it. I think I'm confident I passed, but I don't know what my grade is. I don't want to go look. I'm so used to getting straight A's in my foreign language classes because I'm usually so good, but I was so bad in this class. And anyway, um, so after the class ended, I barely finished. What I would do while I was taking the class is I have my flashcards. I think I've shown you those, and using Rosetta Stone, and what was a few of them? Rosetta Stone, the big ones are the Rosetta Stone, and then How to Study Korean, the website. I love that website. It's not perfect. It's Talk to Me in Korean, I think, is much more popular, and I can see why. Talk to Me in Korean. The people that run that website are um, they're very charming, and they're actually Koreans, and the radio shows are good to listen to. But why I don't use Talk to Me in Korean as much, I still use it. I still listen to, I like the podcast, but I don't use it as a resource in terms of the material on the site, because making flashcards out of it is, well, they don't give you as much to work with. They have some great sentences, but they'll give you like 5 or 10 for a lesson, whereas How to Study Korean will give you like 100 sentences, good sentences with English translations that you can just copy and paste into an SRS program of your choice. It'd be nice if they actually just gave you this like tab delimited list of stuff that you didn't even have to copy and paste, but they don't. It's still easy though to do. Just yeah, so I love that site. I finished the course. As soon as the course finished, although I had been using my SRS flashcards to study, I stopped. I was set to go to Japan to study for 3 weeks in Fukuoka. I was totally focused on that. My Japanese is way better. It's really good for any foreign language. It's quite good. I was conversational. If you're conversational in a foreign language, no matter what language it is, that's even if it's an easy language for for you per se, like Spanish and English or something like that, it's still very, I would say, very high level for most people, because it's hard. And but obviously, when you go to Japan, you want to make the most of it, and I was very excited about that. So I focused totally on Japanese when I went to Fukuoka. Coming back from Fukuoka, I still focused on Japanese, although I kind of knew this because my Japanese is at a point where I can read books and watch movies and talk to people in Japanese. I don't study it per se, and I don't know if you're not actively studying it. I do think it's getting better. But I don't think my vocabulary is growing really. It's just the core vocabulary that I know, that I use constantly, gets stronger and stronger, and I get better at using that core vocabulary to both in my listening comprehension and expressing myself. That's how I think that works. But that's Japanese. So basically didn't do Korean until a few weeks ago. I mean, that kind of was in the back of my head. I'm like, well, what about this Korean thing I wanted to do? I've Japanese is great, but I still am interested in Korean. And so I'm getting back into Korean. I've been doing it for a few weeks, and I picked up I had tons of flashcards, and I picked one deck, basically mostly from how to study Korean. And it had some other sentences. I had basically taken some vocabulary, gone on to Naver, and grabbed. They have example sentences with English translations galore on there. Wonderful resource. Use that, unfortunately, to get maybe some too difficult sentences, but some of those are in there. I got that up to date, and I signed up with a tutor at italki. actually two now. I started with a tutor, the first one. I go with it towards the cheaper ones, so they're less experienced basically as we do the cheaper ones, and they the tutor, she's been, I guess, technically been teaching Korean for about a year. She says her boyfriend's from Spain, and she's in Korea. They're in Korea, and she wanted to teach him Korean, and so she kind of fell into this thing. Decided to become a Korean teacher, and she's been doing this. So she's very serious about teaching Korean, but it doesn't have tons of experience, so it's just $10 an hour, and for tutors, it can go a little lower than that, but really, you get below $10 an hour, it's like it's not even a part-time job, it's just a hobby. I think. Anyway, so she's serious. She uses the material from Talk to Me in Korean, which I don't have. I'm noticing a problem with although I like her a lot, and I like she speaks English, probably a good intermediate level, which is totally great for in terms I have to say something and I have to say stuff to her. I use English. I can't speak Korean, and she can understand generally. Of course, sometimes as a student, you kind of have finer questions that you kind of want to ask about the language you're studying or the grammar or whatever. That doesn't always get across. It sometimes does and sometimes doesn't, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah. And I recently this morning I did I tried a tutoring with a different tutor on italki. This Korean, she speaks Japanese at a pretty high level according to her profile, and English too. Her English is actually sounds pretty good, although I didn't speak very much English with her. The pronunciation seemed very nice for a foreigner, especially in Asia, and we mostly talked about Korean and spoke Japanese the whole time because her Japanese is quite good. It's actually better than her English, and I enjoyed that conversation in Japanese. And I think I haven't done this. I did do it a little with my first tutor, but I think it's actually very important to kind of get, if you plan to take a lot of lessons, not just with someone, I think it's good to get to know them and to have a bit of small talk and to just feel comfortable with them. If you can't, you obviously can't do that for all your lessons. That means you're not studying, you're not learning, but just getting really comfortable with them, getting to know them as a person, because you're going to get frustrated. You're going to be you're making no progress, and you don't want this. You want to feel like this person likes you a bit as a person, or at least you get along with them, because it's a difficult situation. If you like my other tutor, we really didn't do a whole lot of small talk. Although I like her, but I don't feel like a connection yet with her. So when I'm struggling, or maybe she's going over stuff, and I feel like I'm not performing anywhere where she wants me to, that's not good. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to do a couple things to fix that. I might get the books for Talk to Me in Korean, so I can properly prepare lessons. Although I am studying Korean every day using these flashcards, sentence flashcards, tons of it, and I know that will eventually get my Korean better when I'm studying specific lessons with a tutor. And she's focusing on material and things with me. If I don't prepare in advance, it's not like Japanese where I have a nice core that I can draw upon and perform in a variety of situations. I can't do crap. It's just it's really bad. So yeah, I'm gonna try to fix that. So that's a brief summary of where I'm at now. I think I'm gonna also do a how to study any language is a website where you can do just write a log. I'm gonna do that in Korean because I did that with Japanese. I actually wrote down a log going over just talking about in English, talking about studying Japanese. I did tons of that, and I found that very helpful because people reply, and just writing it down keeps you kind of enjoying and focused on that. So I'm gonna do that again with Korean. Anything I can do to keep me focused and enjoying this. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the video. If you found this at all useful, I know I like watching other video logs of people who study languages. almost anything they say is to me is a little bit interesting. So hope you found it interesting. Any comments are appreciated. Thanks.